Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And Monday Night Raw tonight was from the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri. And Monday Night Raw tonight, this show was absolutely boring. This show was hard to sit through. And at the end of the show, I'm like, what the fuck did we just watch? This show felt like, at points, it was booked before the show went on the air. What do we have on the show tonight? We saw Styles and Omos versus the Viking Raiders for the Raw Tag Team titles. Didn't we just see this at Money in the Bank? What was so different that we didn't see in their match at Money in the Bank? You can't have a Monday Night Raw without a rematch being on the show. We saw Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre ended up taking on Jinder Mahal's buddy, Veer. We also had Natalya and Tamina in action, the Women's Tag Team Champions, versus Eva Marie and Doudrop. Yeah, sounds great, right? And then we had John Morrison versus Matt Riddle. We had the 24/7 title on the line, which was fucking shit. Reginald defended the title against R-Truth. Who gives a shit? And the main event, it was Charlotte Flair versus NIKKI A.S.H. Or NIKKI A.S.H. Who cares? Don't even care about Nikki's new gimmick with this stupid, almost a superhero shit. You know, she's the Raw Women's Champion. But overall, Monday Night Raw was fucking boring. This show, like I said, was hard to watch. It was hard to sit through. It was a chore. And I can say the same for every single week, for every single Monday night with this show. Overall, let's jump right into the review. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight, and it opened fucking terribly because this segment ran 15 minutes. Yes, 15 minutes, the opening segment to Monday Night Raw tonight. We had NIKKI A.S.H. ended up coming out. She got into the ring, she got on the mic, she welcomed us to Monday Night Raw, and she ended up saying that she can't believe she's standing here as the Raw Women's Champion. I can't believe that she is holding the title. You know, I said it last week. If Nikki had her old gimmick, I would have appreciated her a lot more on winning the title. Now that they put her in this almost a superhero gimmick, I don't appreciate it. I don't like Nikki holding the Raw Women's Championship in this new gimmick. It is laughable. But she ended up saying that it's always been a dream. So these Kansas City fans end up chanting, "You deserve it." I don't know why. I don't know why they were chanting, "You deserve it." So Nikki ended up saying that she keeps pinching herself to make sure she's not asleep, and that the dream is now real. She ended up saying that in the past, when she's reached for the stars, she just didn't have the confidence needed. And then she was like, oh, one day I realized if I fail, I fail. And she ended up saying that she's still her. She ended up saying that when she put on the superhero outfit, which makes her look like a joke, she said when she put on the outfit, it gave her the confidence and it reminded her, and that she wants to remind all of us that no matter what, if you believe in yourself, you can overcome everything. She ended up saying that it worked for her and it could work for all of us, and that we could all be almost superheroes. So then Charlotte, the overrated queen, Charlotte, ended up coming out. Charlotte walked down, she got on the apron, she was waiting for a crew member to open the ropes for her. So Charlotte got into the ring. We got fans booing Charlotte. of course. Charlotte ended up saying that that is a nice fairy tale that Nikki was telling. But hers doesn't have a happy ending because Nikki is the champion. And with Nikki as the champion, it is a disgrace. So Charlotte ends up saying that she can't believe Nikki. She can't believe Nikki dressed up like that. And that is supposed to represent the company. So Charlotte was mocking Nikki, trying to imagine Nikki on the Today Show. Yeah, promotion for the Today Show on NBC. She ended up saying that where Al Roker would mock her as well. So Charlotte ended up saying that the fans may also think Nikki is a champion. But in her book, you have a ton of work to be the champion. So Charlotte ended up saying that she doesn't believe it, and that she's here to add star power. Charlotte to add star power? Yeah, like Charlotte is star power to everyone. Who thinks Charlotte has star power? I know I don't. I know you all don't think Charlotte has star power either. And then people go and say, oh yeah, Charlotte is the greatest wrestler of all time. She's not. Charlotte is not the greatest women's superstar of all time. Give me a break. She's overrated. And this woman has everything thrown at her by WWE. They give her, opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. It is disgusting how WWE just gives this woman everything. Yeah, like Charlotte's going to bring the star power. So she ends up saying she's here to add star power and perspective to the ring. Yeah, joke. So Charlotte ended up calling Nikki an almost idiot. Fans were chanting, you suck to Charlotte. And she ended up taunting the crowd. Charlotte ended up going on about how she dominated Rhea Ripley last week for Rhea Ripley to attack her. And that was the only way Nikki cashed in on her. Charlotte ended up going on to say that it's beneath her to complain. And that the footage shows that she wasn't even on her feet when her match with Nikki last week started. So there we go, Charlotte complaining. So Charlotte ended up saying that Nikki stole her Raw Women's Championship. Aw, poor baby. So Charlotte ended up saying that she will get her rematch at SummerSlam and that Nikki will bow to the Queen. She ended up saying that Nikki isn't even to blame for this injustice and that she blames the fans because they can't handle it when other people are more successful than them. So Rhea Ripley ended up coming out. Rhea Ripley then mocked the idea of everyone being jealous of Charlotte. We're jealous of Charlotte? Really now. Nobody is jealous of Charlotte. So fans were chanting for Rhea. Rhea Ripley ended up taunting Charlotte for only holding the championship for a day. Rhea Ripley also brought up how Charlotte got herself disqualified last week before Nikki ended up cashing in the briefcase. And she ended up saying that it should be her who gets the match at SummerSlam. So we had Rhea end up saying that they both represented the division well when they were champion. And that the women's division is ready for a metamorphosis. And that she will be leading that change as the new Raw Women's Champion. So Charlotte ended up saying that she has had enough of this almost a hero crap. So she ended up going on, taunting Nikki, ended up saying that she will leave SummerSlam as the champion. Rhea Ripley ended up saying that the title belongs around her waist. So then Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce ended up coming out. They ended up coming out on the stage. Adam Pearce ended up saying that there are a lot of good arguments and perspectives, and that they will address them. So Sonya Deville ended up saying that the only fair thing to do is to make a triple threat at SummerSlam for the Raw Women's Championship. So Charlotte was arguing with Sonya Deville. She was saying how Nikki is a fluke and that Rhea Ripley doesn't deserve a rematch and that she wants a match later on tonight against NIKKI A.S.H, proving that NIKKI will never be in her league, in Charlotte's league. So Adam Pearce then made the match official. So we had Charlotte versus NIKKI A.S.H later on in the night, which was the main event. So then we had Charlotte end up attacking Rhea Ripley from the side. She ended up sending Rhea out of the ring. Nikki ended up drop kicking Charlotte, and she ended up sending Charlotte out to the floor. So Nikki ended up standing tall in the ring, and that was how the segment ended. But this was just an awful, terrible segment to open Monday Night Raw. 15 minutes this segment went. Absolutely awful. And fucking cringe. So then we had the first match of the night. It was Sheamus versus Damian Priest. Number one contenders match. If Damian Priest ended up winning the match, he would get a future shot at the United States Championship. And this was a decent match. But at the same time, WWE should have just held off this match for SummerSlam. Instead of doing the number one contenders match, they should have just booked Sheamus versus Damian Priest for the United States Championship for SummerSlam. But Sheamus ended up coming out first. Sheamus still has his nose protector mask on him. And then out came Damian Priest. The match ended up started. We had Damian Priest end up taking Sheamus into the corner. Sheamus turned it around. They started tangling on the mat. Sheamus was in control. And Sheamus ended up dropping Damian Priest with a shoulder. Priest ended up taking Sheamus down. Priest ended up delivering an arm drag takedown to Sheamus. Sheamus came back up, delivered a forearm to Damian Priest. He was keeping Damian Priest down on one knee. Damian Priest got up. He started fighting back. Started delivering some right hands to Sheamus. Priest ended up kicking Sheamus. Started taunting him. So Priest ended up ducking a shot from Sheamus. He ended up dropping Sheamus with a flying back elbow. Priest then ended up clotheslining Sheamus over the top rope out to the floor. And Damian Priest ended up kicking Sheamus as he ended up trying to re-enter the ring. Priest then ran the ropes and he tried to do a dive, but Sheamus ended up moving out of the way, but Damian Priest ended up posing on the ring instead. Sheamus then ended up catching Damian Priest and slammed him on the edge of the apron. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had Damian Priest delivering a clothesline to Sheamus. He was delivering some more shots to Sheamus. Damian Priest actually knocked off the face protector off of Sheamus. And Sheamus was holding his face. You know, he was panicking because, of course, he has a broken nose. So Sheamus ended up going up to the top. Damian Priest ended up getting up. He ended up grabbing Sheamus by his throat. Damian Priest ended up walking Sheamus out onto the top rope and delivered a choke slam to Sheamus. So Priest went for the cover. Sheamus ended up kicking out at 2. And at the end of the match, Damian Priest ended up delivering the Reckoning to Sheamus. He ended up pinning Sheamus. There you go. Damian Priest ended up winning the match. He is the new number one contender. And he will face Sheamus for the United States Championship in the future. He gets a shot at the United States Championship. So post-match, we had Sheamus ranting about how Damian Priest ended up breaking his nose. So Sheamus was just like, oh, my nose is broken. My nose is broken. He was shouting that out. So that was that. But overall, it was a decent match. And then we had the Viking Raiders versus Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team titles. Rematch from Money in the Bank. And What was so different in this match that we didn't see at Money in the Bank? It was the same shit. So Styles and Omos end up coming out first, and then the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar, end up coming out. Match started off with Eric leveling Styles with some double knees. Ivar ended up coming in, and both him and Eric end up hitting Styles. Ivar ended up stunning Omos on the ring apron. Eric ended up slamming Ivar into Omos, which sent him off of the apron. And Omos was still standing. It did nothing to him. He didn't go down. Styles then ended up getting double teamed by Eric and Ivar. Eric ended up covering for Styles, but Omos ended up pulling Eric out of the ring, out to the floor. Omos then ended up dropping Ivar ringside with a knee to his gut. So Omos was manhandling Ivar. He ended up launching him into Eric against the barricade. So Omos ended up having Eric grounded as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. Omos was manhandling Eric. So Styles ended up tagging in. He ended up taking over the match. He ended up keeping Eric, down. Styles ended up getting dropped on his face, and the Viking Raiders ended up looking to mount some offense on Styles, but Styles ended up fighting back. Ivar ended up dodging a phenomenal forearm with a cartwheel that he does. He then levels Styles with a clothesline. Ivar then ended up running into a super kick in the corner from Styles. Styles then delivered a tornado DDT to Ivar from the top turnbuckle. So Styles went for the cover. Ivar ended up kicking out. So Ivar ended up stopping Styles from tagging in Omos. And Ivar then ducked a enziguri from Styles. Ivar ended up splashing Styles in the corner. Eric ended up coming in and they double teamed on Styles. So there's a point where Omos ended up dropping Ivar ringside from the apron. And Omos ended up tagging in. He ended up scooping Eric up for a slam. Omos was yelling about how this is being his house. And Omos delivered a splash to Eric in the corner. Ivar ended up running in. Omos ended up getting his boot up and hit Ivar. So Omos ended up delivering a two-hand choke slam to Eric in the middle of the ring. Styles ended up tagging in, ended up hitting the 450, the springboard 450 on Eric. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Styles and Omos ended up winning the match, retaining the Raw Tag Team titles. So there you go. Nothing new. Styles and Omos retain. So Jinder ended up introducing the man who was with him and Veer. And it is Jinder's personal attorney. The best money can buy. So Jinder ended up saying that they are going to sue. And McIntyre has a big lawsuit that's going to be coming his way. And that they are going to take away everything that McIntyre has. So Jinder ended up giving McIntyre one more chance for him to apologize. And he was trying to get the fans to encourage McIntyre to apologize. Really? So McIntyre ended up telling Jinder to shut up. And McIntyre then asked the Kansas City fans, if I should apologize to Jinder. The fans ended up saying no. So McIntyre ended up asking the fans if he should apologize and buy these guys a steak dinner. Or should he say, screw the lawyer, and then beat Veer within an inch of his life. So the fans end up popping for that. So McIntyre ended up saying that he has missed these chants so much. And that he has one for Jinder. One that he wants fans to chant at Jinder in the airports and everywhere else. So McIntyre ended up letting the fans cheer, Drew is gonna kill you. And then the fans all go, Drew is gonna kill you to Veer. But this match was boring. This match was absolutely boring. Didn't I even care for it. Veer ended up getting into the ring as the bell rang. Both him and McIntyre ended up locking up. McIntyre ended up working on Veer's arm, but Veer ended up nailing a right hand to McIntyre's jaw. He delivered some kicks and a headlock to McIntyre. McIntyre came back and leveled Veer, ended up slamming him. Veer then ended up slapping McIntyre in the face, and McIntyre was just staring him down. McIntyre was jabbing Veer in the face, and he was just doing some kicks and punches to Veer. So Jinder ended up grabbing a chair at ringside, and Jinder was distracting McIntyre, allowing Veer to take him down and turn it around and get control of the match. So McIntyre ended up fighting up, and Veer ended up delivering some knee strikes to McIntyre's gut. McIntyre came back and delivered some clotheslines to Veer. And there was a point at the end of the match where Jinder ended up sliding the chair into the ring. Veer then grabbed the chair. Veer turned around. McIntyre ended up knocking the chair into Veer and delivered the Claymore. Referee ended up calling for the match. So the match ended in disqualification. So McIntyre ended up winning the match by disqualification. So post-match, we had Jinder and Veer ended up standing on the stage. McIntyre then ended up spotting Jinder's attorney, who was still standing at ringside. McIntyre then ended up scooping Jinder's attorney up, ended up rolling him into the ring. So McIntyre was in the ring. He was ready for Jinder's lawyer to get up. And when Jinder's lawyer got up, McIntyre did the 3, 2, 1 and hit the Claymore to Jinder's lawyer. So that was that. Overall, match was boring. Did not care for it. Yeah, won't be able to care for Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. Who gives a shit? Jinder Mahal should get off TV. I mean, who wants to see Jinder Mahal? So then we saw Eva Marie and Doudrop backstage. Eva Marie ended up telling Doudrop to forget what happened last week, because after they win tonight, they will be one step closer to the women's tag team titles. Boy, do I not want to see that. So Eva ended up saying that the evolution will not be stopped as long as Doudrop lives up to her end. Who cares? Who the fuck cares about Eva Marie? And then we had Eva Marie and Doudrop versus Natalya and Tamina. Number one contenders match. If Eva Marie and Doudrop end up winning the match, they get a future shot at the women's tag team titles. This match sucked. I'm not going to go over this match. Tamina and Natalya end up winning, where Eva Marie was in the ring, and we had a thing with Lily on the screen. And it was narrated by Alexa Bliss, and she ended up calling this the Lilylution, which of course is mocking the Evolution vignettes. So Eva Marie didn't like that, and Tamina ended up delivering a super kick to Eva Marie, and Tamina ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Tamina and Natalya ended up winning the match. So there you go. No future shot at the women's tag team titles for Eva Marie and Doudrop. Thank God. And then we had Karrion Kross versus Keith Lee. Yes, I'm not shitting you. That was the match tonight. Karrion Kross versus Keith Lee. And when they announced that as Monday Night Raw went to commercial, I'm like, what the fuck? What kind of booking is this? Karrion Kross versus Keith Lee, these guys can't lose. So this was originally supposed to be Jeff Hardy versus Karrion Kross in a rematch from last week. Karrion Kross lost to Jeff Hardy last week, but the news broke out earlier today. You guys probably know about the news. Jeff Hardy got tested positive for COVID, so he's out for 2 weeks. Wishing Jeff Hardy well. So Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard were probably like, Alright, so Jeff Hardy has COVID. Who do we got in the locker room that could face Karrion Kross tonight? Oh yeah, how about that Keith Lee? Let's just throw Keith Lee in here, and if he loses the match, let's just throw the last of the dirt on top of him and just bury him. So this was just WWE and Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard putting Karrion Kross and Keith Lee in this match to see who they will bury more. And the fans could say, oh yeah, the guy is buried. That was what they did tonight. They had nobody else in the locker room, so they just threw Keith Lee in there just to face Karrion Kross. But this match, it was okay for what it was. So the match started off with Karrion Kross ended up dodging Keith Lee into the corner, and Karrion Kross ended up couldn't get Keith Lee up to deliver a suplex, and both of them would trade strikes. Keith Lee ended up grabbing Kross, tossing him across the ring. Keith Lee ended up dropping Kross and ended up delivering a clothesline to him over the top rope out to the floor. So Keith Lee ended up following. Karrion Kross ended up attacking Keith Lee, and Kross delivered a overhead suplex to Keith Lee on the floor. Karrion Kross ended up standing tall, and Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we saw Karrion Kross. He was unloading on Keith Lee in the corner. He ended up keeping Keith Lee down, delivered a knee to Keith Lee's face. So Keith Lee ended up fighting back. He was delivering some strikes to Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross ended up kicking Keith Lee, ended up dropping him with a DDT. So Kross went for the cover, which Keith Lee ended up kicking out. So Karrion Kross ended up applying the Kross jacket on Keith Lee while Keith Lee was down on one knee. So Keith Lee was shown fading as the referee was checking on him. Keith Lee ended up breaking the grip on Karrion Kross. Keith Lee ended up fighting up. He ended up slamming Karrion Kross to the mat. So Keith Lee ended up recovering in the corner while Karrion Kross ended up getting back up. Keith Lee ended up delivering some right hands to Kross and a spinning back elbow. And at the end of the match, Karrion Kross ended up applying the Kross jacket once again on Keith Lee. And he had Keith Lee not only in the Kross jacket, he ended up having the body scissors locked on Keith Lee. So Keith Lee was shown starting to fade, and the referee was checking on him. Kross ended up tying the hold, and Keith Lee was passed out, and the referee ended up calling for the match. So there you go. Karrion Kross ended up winning the match. And Keith Lee is even more buried. How fucking sad is that? Keith Lee, he needs to get out of this company and go to AEW. In my opinion, WWE is just failing with him. When he was brought up to Monday Night Raw, already there, he was a failure when they brought him up. They changed his theme song. They made him wrestle in a sling. Just Keith Lee's time on the main roster on Monday Night Raw has been a disappointment. But overall, this was an okay match for what it was. But Keith Lee continues to be buried. And it's sad. So then we had Sarah Schreiber. Sarah Schreiber was backstage. She ended up approaching NIKKI A.S.H. She ended up asking about the main event against Charlotte. NIKKI ended up talking to Sarah Schreiber about how her confidence has grown and that she's no longer afraid to fail. And it has worked for her. She ended up saying that she just wants everyone to know the hardest challenges are worth fighting for. She ended up going on about winning the match against Charlotte tonight and then defending the Raw Women's Championship in the triple threat match at SummerSlam. So Rhea Ripley ended up interrupting her. Rhea Ripley ended up saying that she respects how NIKKI believes in herself. And Rhea ended up saying that she will be leaving SummerSlam with the Raw Women's Championship. So Rhea Ripley ended up saying that she still hopes Nikki gives Charlotte later tonight and wins the match. So that was that. Then we had Mason T-Bar versus Mustafa Ali and Mansoor. We had Mason T-Bar end up coming out first, and they delivered a recorded video. They would cut in a promo and talk about how they will defeat Mustafa Ali and Mansoor. And then Mansoor and Mustafa Ali end up coming out. We got a recorded promo from them. Mansoor was going on about how excited he is to team with Mustafa Ali. And Mustafa Ali ended up saying to Mansoor, "Oh, we have to get through tonight. And then we could talk about being a team." So Mustafa Ali ended up telling Mansoor to just follow his lead, to just follow my lead. So the match started off with Mansoor sending T-Bar into the corner. T-Bar ended up coming back, ended up leveling Mansoor with a spin kick. And T-Bar went for the cover, which Mansoor kicked out too. Mace ended up launching Mustafa Ali into the corner and charged into Mustafa Ali with an elbow. Mace came in and he ended up manhandling Mustafa Ali. He ended up stopping Mustafa Ali from tagging in Mansoor. Mace delivered a slam to Mustafa Ali into the mat. Went for the cover, which Mustafa Ali ended up kicking out too, as Mansoor ended up making the save. T-Bar ended up coming in. He ended up running over to Mansoor, knocking Mansoor off the apron. Mustafa Ali ended up getting hit with a double team by T-Bar and Mace. So at the end of the match, we had Mansoor and Mace ended up tangling. Mansoor ended up rolling up Mace for the win. So Mansoor and Mustafa Ali end up winning the match. So post-match, T-Bar and Mace were in the ring. They end up trying to grab Mansoor and Mustafa Ali, but they end up retreating out to the floor. And that was that. But overall, very meh match. And then we had Bobby Lashley and MVP. They ended up coming out for Bobby Lashley to respond to Goldberg's challenge. So Lashley ended up coming into the ring, and we saw how he beat Keith Lee last week, and then how he was confronted by Goldberg, of course, last week. So MVP ended up getting on the mic. He ended up calling on the fans to rise and show the proper respect to Bobby Lashley. So MVP ended up getting some heat because he was taking shots at the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs. He ended up bringing up Goldberg disrespecting Bobby Lashley last week. So we got a Goldberg chant from the crowd. MVP ended up saying that everyone has been talking about Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley. And he ends up getting it. But only the question can be answered by Bobby Lashley. We don't need Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley. I don't know why WWE is going with this. And MVP ended up asking Bobby Lashley if Goldberg is next. So Bobby Lashley got on the mic. He ended up saying that he's not even going to dignify Goldberg's actions with a response. So Bobby Lashley ended up saying that this is his ring, and he won't be disrespected by anyone. And then out came Cedric Alexander. Cedric ended up saying disrespect is how Bobby Lashley kicked him out of the Hurt Business earlier in the year. Cedric ended up saying that Bobby Lashley kicked him out because he knows Cedric is better than him, than Bobby Lashley. Cedric ended up saying that tonight he is stepping up and he wants his shot. And then out came Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin ended up saying that before Bobby Lashley answers that question, so Shelton ended up pointing to how annoying the sound of Cedric's voice is. So Shelton Benjamin ended up saying that he isn't here to cry about the Hurt Business because it's over. Shelton ended up saying that he's here to give Bobby Lashley a real challenge. So MVP ended up saying that both Cedric and Shelton Benjamin sound ridiculous, and that Bobby Lashley doesn't have time for them because they're not on Bobby's agenda. So Lashley then ended up saying that he'll take both Cedric and Shelton Benjamin on at the same time. So Bobby Lashley ended up calling for a referee to come out. So we had a 2-on-1 handicap match. And with Cedric coming out, I'm like, Cedric's a babyface? He was a heel before. So he just becomes a babyface just out of nowhere? And then Shelton Benjamin is, still a heel. Doesn't make any sense as to why Cedric comes out and he's a babyface with no explanation as to why. What made him turn babyface? So then we had a 2-on-1 handicap match. Bobby Lashley versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Squash match. Bobby Lashley ends up winning the match. Lashley ends up delivering a jackhammer on Shelton Benjamin. Sending a message to Goldberg. Lashley then ended up slamming Cedric Alexander on top of Shelton Benjamin. He ended up covering them both. So Bobby Lashley ended up winning. Fortunately, Bobby Lashley did not answer, Goldberg's challenge. So, there you go. We didn't get it. Bobby Lashley did not respond to Goldberg's challenge. So then The Miz was backstage. He was still in his wheelchair. John Morrison ended up bringing over the dripsticks or the dipsticks and ended up getting hyped up. So Styles and Omos end up walking up. Styles ended up wanting to talk to The Miz and John Morrison about something important. So Omos was standing guard. He was blocking the view, so we didn't see what Miz and Morrison and Styles were talking about. So that was that. And then we had Matt Riddle versus John Morrison. Just another meh match, in my opinion. Matt Riddle ended up coming out first. And then John Morrison came out with The Miz. And John Morrison had Mike Rome re-announce him. Mike Rome re-announced John Morrison as America's Most Wanted. Fucking awful. And John Morrison was wearing the America's Most Wanted shirt. Who the fuck would buy that shirt? Really? What is it with moist and the dipsticks? Or the dripsticks? What's the point? I guess Vince and Bruce like to be moist. So the match started with John Morrison and Matt Riddle locking up. They end up tangling on the mat. Matt Riddle ended up hitting a suplex to John Morrison. Went for the cover, which Morrison kicked out at 2. We had Matt Riddle ended up taking Morrison into the corner, but Morrison ended up coming back, slamming Matt Riddle for a pin attempt. Miz ended up cheering for John Morrison on the outside. He was trying to get a fucking Johnny Drip Drip chant going for the fans to chant. So Matt Riddle ended up countering a suplex and a fisherman suplex for John Morrison. Went for the cover. John Morrison ended up kicking out at 2. So The Miz then sprayed Matt Riddle with the dripstick to distract him, which John Morrison ended up trying to capitalize, but Riddle ended up taking him out. So Matt Riddle almost kicked The Miz out of his wheelchair from the apron. He ended up kicking the chair over. So Matt Riddle was getting, a laugh at The Miz, kicking while, the wheelchair was stuck on The Miz's back. So later on in the match, we had Styles and Omos end up walking down the ramp. So Morrison had some offense here. He ended up delivering a 2 count. And Riddle ended up blocking the suplex from John Morrison, ended up nailing the ripcord knee to Morrison. Riddle then delivered a powerbomb. And at the end of the match, John Morrison ended up taking advantage of the distraction from Omos because Omos end up snapping Matt Riddle's scooter in half, because Styles ended up grabbing the scooter, gave it to Omos, and then Omos ended up snapping the scooter in half. So Morrison ended up taking advantage of the distraction. He ended up bringing Matt Riddle up. Looked like John Morrison was hitting a modified Razor's Edge. And then he ended up hitting the Starship Pain to Matt Riddle. So there you go. John Morrison ended up winning the match. Post-match, you had The Miz and Morrison end up celebrating on the outside with the drip sticks just shooting water all over. So Styles ended up coming into the ring and he started unloading on Matt Riddle. Omos then entered the ring and he was watching as Styles ended up delivering the Styles Clash to Riddle. And that was that. Overall, just very meh match. Then we had the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title on the line with this shit. R-Truth versus Reginald. Who cares? Fuck the 24/7 title. This title should be fucking retired. And I don't know why they're still using it on television. The title is a joke. So R-Truth was mic'd up. And as he was wrestling the match with Reginald, did he forget to turn off his mic? Because he did. This match was a circus. But Reginald ended up winning the match, retaining the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. Who cares? And then we had Akira Tozawa, Humberto Carrillo, the Lucha House Party, Drew Gulak, the whole circus ended up running to the ring to attack Reginald. He ended up flipping out to the floor. Who cares? Who gives a shit? The 24/7 title needs to be retired. This title needs to get off TV. So then we saw Sarah Schreiber. Sarah Schreiber was backstage with Charlotte. Charlotte ended up saying that NIKKI A.S.H only won the title last week because of what Rhea Ripley did. Charlotte ended up saying that she's tired of almost superstars running down the women's division. So Charlotte ended up going on and she ended up saying that there would not be a women's champion in WWE if it weren't for her. And she would prove that against NIKKI. So that was that. That was what Charlotte had to say. Main event. NIKKI A.S.H versus Charlotte. And this was billed as a championship contenders match. Why? Didn't Sonya Deville just announce that a triple threat match with Charlotte, NIKKI, and Rhea Ripley is happening at SummerSlam with the title on the line? So why is this billed as a championship contenders match? Can you explain that to me, WWE? But this was just a meh main event, in my opinion. The match started off with Charlotte ended up staring NIKKI down from the corner. Charlotte ended up looking disgusted at NIKKI. They ended up charging Charlotte, ended up leveling NIKKI with a clothesline. Charlotte was delivering some chops in the corner. Charlotte ended up talking some trash to NIKKI as she manhandled her. And Charlotte was trying to remove NIKKI's mask. Charlotte ended up knocking NIKKI out to the mat, started working her over. Charlotte then ended up sending NIKKI into the ropes, then kicked her out to the floor. Charlotte was still taunting at NIKKI. She was stomping away as NIKKI ended up trying to come back in. So Charlotte was continuing to dominate on NIKKI. She was working on NIKKI around the ring. Started unloading on some kicks to NIKKI in the corner, just beating her down. NIKKI ended up trying to fight back, but Charlotte ended up stopping her. NIKKI then blocked a suplex attempt from Charlotte. She ended up rolling Charlotte for a 2 count. So NIKKI ended up getting another pin attempt. Charlotte had some more offense as she ended up going for NIKKI's mask again. So NIKKI ended up fighting. She ended up drop kicking Charlotte. Charlotte then ended up launching NIKKI over the announce table. And Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, Charlotte was stretching NIKKI out using the ring post. And Charlotte ended up coming back into the ring. She ended up keeping control on NIKKI. She went for a 2 count, which NIKKI ended up kicking out. So At the end of the match, we had Nikki end up delivering a tornado DDT from the top onto Charlotte. Nikki ended up rushing back up to the top, delivered a crossbody, and Charlotte ended up holding it. She ended up rolling up Nikki, and there you go. Charlotte ended up winning the match. So post-match, Kevin Patrick ended up coming into the ring, interviewed Charlotte. Kevin Patrick ended up congratulating Charlotte, and Charlotte ended up saying that she isn't happy with this, asking Kevin Patrick what did he expect. So Charlotte ended up asking why he's congratulating her, why Kevin Patrick is congratulating her. So Charlotte then ended up taking the mic from Kevin Patrick. She started talking trash to Nikki. She was saying how she thinks that Nikki can be a superhero by just putting on a mask and cape. Nikki was not wearing a cape, Charlotte. So Charlotte ended up telling Nikki that no one is in her league. No one. So Charlotte ended up saying that it's true. Sorry, not sorry. So Charlotte ended up handing the mic back to Kevin Patrick. And Nikki ended up saying that she's always said almost a superhero. And she may have lost, but she showed that she almost could have beaten Charlotte. She ended up saying that she has the confidence to beat Charlotte next week. And she is challenging Charlotte to a rematch next week on Monday Night Raw. So there's our first rematch for next week. So Nikki ended up tossing the mic. Charlotte ended up telling them to hand her mic back. She ended up saying that she can beat Nikki next week and any week. So Charlotte then accepts the match. So Charlotte ended up extending her hand out, and Charlotte ended up leveling Nikki with a forearm. Charlotte ended up decking Nikki again, ended up standing tall. Charlotte ended up taking it out to the floor, started chopping Nikki against the barricade. And then Charlotte ended up bringing Nikki back into the ring, and she ended up leveling Nikki with a big boot. And that was that. That was how Monday Night Raw went off the air tonight. Overall, very meh main event. And getting a rematch next week. Great. How great. What's going to be different in the match next week that we didn't see tonight? It's the same shit. Overall, Monday Night Raw was terrible. It was hard to sit through and very boring, in my opinion. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.